Meet Asa, a girl with social anxiety, trouble making friends, and depression, who gets killed in the first chapter. A devil then proposes to save her life in exchange for her body. But it was a false promise, as Asa lost her body, and her life would never be the same again. Since devils are predators of humans in this world, humans who make pacts with them end up staining their hands with the lives of others, whether they are innocent or bullies. And that's what happens when a devil starts making pacts with students at Asa's school. An already chaotic world turns into a jungle. Can Chainsaw Man protect us? We are introduced to Bucky, a chicken devil. In the world of Chainsaw Man, devils have strength proportional to the fear they inflict on people. But a headless, friendly, and cute chicken causes no fear at all. So Bucky is one of the weakest devils in existence. Even a cat could finish him off. Bucky is in the classroom, not to learn, but to teach. In the cruelest way possible, he will live in the class for a while, and at the right moment, one of the students must kill Bucky. Quite morbid like that. And Bucky is actually a really nice guy. Everyone likes him. Everyone loves his goofy way of being. But unfortunately, the fateful day arrives. Bucky will be killed, and he can't do anything about it. Let the student with devil hunter aspirations step forward. Exterminate Bucky. The atmosphere gets tense, until the students stand up and decide, no, Bucky is our friend, and we are not going to kill him. Hearing this, the teacher feels fulfilled. It seems the lesson he wanted to teach was about friendship, not about killing devils. And the students pass this imposed test with mastery. Everyone is happy and goes to play soccer to celebrate. The students and Bucky, but one student stayed behind. Asa Mitaka. No one had called her, but Bucky is truly a great guy. Come on, Asa, let's play with everyone. While Bucky rested in Asa's arms, for the first time in her life, Asa felt welcomed and like she belonged to that class. Yes, she wanted to play with everyone. So let's hurry! But Asa ends up tripping and falls on top of Bucky. Unfortunately, her body weight was enough to shatter poor Bucky. The scene was terrible to behold. Our Bucky had died. Asa is a girl with social problems, a lack of faith in society, depressed, lonely, and sometimes with dangerous tendencies. The accident with Bucky made her situation even worse. If she wasn't the most liked person in class before, now no one wants anything to do with her. Arriving home, she thinks what 99% of edgy shonen manga characters usually think. She wants to log out of the server of life. This game wasn't for her, but her unhealthy thoughts are interrupted by the doorbell. Who could it be at this time of night? The visitors were the teacher and the class representative. They came to invite Asa to pay her respects to Bucky. Asa ends up accepting, and the trio sets off into the night. However, at a traffic light, even with no cars on the street, Asa decides to wait for the signal to change before crossing. This ended up pulling a trigger in the class representative. The class representative had already lost control. She was in love with the teacher, and yet he liked Asa. The teacher was being nice to Asa, while having casual sex with the class representative, and it was too much. She had made a contract with the Justice Devil, and would settle this matter right now. The class representative then launches her attack, shattering Asa's face. At least now, Asa was free from this horrible world where she didn't belong. But an owl appears and offers a deal. Life in exchange for her body. And so Asa stands up and shouts her name. She was no longer Asa Mitaka, but the War Devil. With her Tanaka spinal cord sword technique, Asa easily destroys the demonic class representative. And while she celebrated her victory, the Justice Devil made a threat. Chainsaw Man should wait. The War Devil already had him as a target. Asa wakes up the day after the fight against the class representative thinking it was all just a dream, but it was just wishful thinking. The War Devil, now lodged in Asa's brain, made it clear that everything that happened was real, that Asa's body no longer belonged to her, and that Asa would be forced to collaborate in the fight against Chainsaw Man. And the War Devil quickly established its dominance and forced Asa to go to school. Chainsaw Man is supposedly a student at the same school as Asa. That's the lead they have to find Chainsaw Man. Asa didn't want to go back to school. She was already an outcast before everything started. Now, after having killed Bucky, the class representative, and the teacher, she wouldn't go in there even under the War Devil's death threat. While the two were still trying to understand each other, a handsome boy came by and offered help to Asa. Perhaps this boy knew some clue about Chainsaw Man's whereabouts. Since Asa didn't want to cooperate, the War Devil took control of her body and asked for the information. The boy didn't know for sure, but rumors said that Chainsaw Man might be a member of the Devil Hunter Club. Before leaving, the War Devil asked if he would like to be her boyfriend, which he refused. Asa resumed her conversation with the War Devil and asked why it asked the boy out. The War Devil then clarified the nature of its power. Everything she owned could become her weapon. If the boy accepted being her boyfriend, he could become her new weapon. To defeat Chainsaw Man, the War Devil needed as many weapons as possible. So that was its second objective. In addition to finding Chainsaw Man, it had to obtain the greatest number of weapons possible for the ultimate confrontation. Asa realized how dangerous the War Devil was and didn't want to be a part of it anymore. Seeing the impasse, the War Devil decided to stick to the agreement. If Asa cooperated, she would get her body back at the end of the battle. With this agreement established, the two proceeded to the location of the next clue, the Devil Hunter Club. Upon arriving at the Devil Hunter Club, things didn't turn out to be that simple. There was an admission test. To be admitted, the freshmen had to join groups of 3 and patrol the city for a week, bringing back a dead devil to the club. Only the strongest groups would join the club. The groups were organized by a senior student, and Asa ended up being included in a group with the handsome boy Yoshida and the girl with short hair and glasses, Yuko. The unexpected trio sets out in search of devils inside the school. While searching the place, Asa began to feel a strong repulsion for being there. First, because she was close to a boy who had rejected her moments ago. And second, Asa still had unresolved business with her class. In one of the hallways, she noticed a group of classmates coming toward her, but no one offered a wave or a greeting. Asa was ignored as if she were trash in the way, but being ignored would have been the least of it. The classmates began to speak ill of Asa out loud. To ensure they made the girl's situation even more uncomfortable. Unable to bear this discomfort any longer, Asa apologized to the trio and tried to flee the school as quickly as possible, but there was still one more trap in the way. Her classmates had prepared one last surprise for Asa. Typical school bullying. Raw pieces of meat had been thrown into Asa's sneakers. Those sneakers were now ruined. Asa fell into a deep depression over everything, but she tried to deceive herself. If she said everything was fine, maybe everything would be fine. Asa was fine, Asa was fine, Asa was not fine at all. The one who had shouted the truth to Asa was Yuko. The next day, Asa and Yuko meet again at school. They still need to hunt for devils to pass the Devil Hunter Club's admission test, but Asa still feels bad about being there. Yuko then proposes that they go hunting in the city, as there would be more devil options and fewer bullies. Asa accepts, and then we transition to the two of them talking calmly on a bench. Asa wants to know more about her new friend. Among other things, she wanted to know why she is so interested in devils. Yuko wanted a job. Devil hunting seemed to pay well, but not only that, Yuko wanted revenge. Her parents had been killed by a devil. On this topic, Asa identified deeply with her friend, as her parents had also been killed by devils. So the two friends also became partners. They would be the duo of avenging angels of death. This was all very beautiful, until the War Devil appeared to offer an indecent proposal to Asa. We must kill Yuko. The more guilt felt for taking a person's life, the stronger the created weapon becomes. Asa liked Yuko. That would make her a great weapon. Obviously, Asa rejected the idea, but the point here is that it evidenced something impossible to resolve in the relationship between the War Devil and Asa. Everything in the world centered on the War Devil defeating Chainsaw Man. It wouldn't matter if all of Asa's friends or other innocent people died. If they became weapons, it would be fine for the War Devil. Asa needed to talk the War Devil out of this idea. If she lost control of her body, Yuko would be in serious trouble. A deal had to be made. A sketch of affinity was drawn by an exchange of names. The War Devil would stop calling Asa girl, and Asa would start calling the War Devil by her name, Yoru. To end the dispute, Yoru decided she would accept Asa's demands, if it helped in any way to defeat Chainsaw Man. We learn a bit more about the state of the human world in that universe. This knowledge came through a street preacher seeking the attention of passers-by. His message was simple. Humans were at war with devils. Why? Simple. Out of every 20 humans, 7 are killed by devils. Devils are a risk to the survival of almost half of humanity. We then cut back to the pair of friends. They finally found a devil to hunt. The problem is that this devil is much stronger than them. They are in serious trouble. mainly because Asa was paralyzed by fear. And in this state, Yoru couldn't take control to find a solution. Retreating was the only way out for both of them. But this retreat wouldn't be simple, as the devil was right on their heels. The situation is desperate for the girls. The Bat Devil uses an attack that launches them both against the building's debris. In the fall, a piece of iron pierces Yuko's shin, in addition to knocking her unconscious. Asa needs to decide what to do with the Bat Devil approaching, and her friend passed out. Yoru appears and suggests, kill the girl and turn her into a weapon. This would be the most correct option for the War Devil. Furthermore, Asa wouldn't have a problem with killing. She never felt guilty about killing Bucky. She just couldn't handle the weight of the consequence. Yoru made it clear that Asa didn't think that differently from her, and that the decision to kill for Asa was always more a matter of convenience than principle. But what will Asa do? Asa decided to carry Yuko and run away from the Bat Devil. However, Asa ends up tripping and falling to the ground along with her friend. Falling for Asa is more than just a random, unexpected action. Falling has always been with Asa at key moments of her life. Asa remembers falling at parties, at sports events. She remembers her worst fall, when Asa fell while holding a cat she had saved from an attack by the Typhoon Devil. Her mother had to rescue her daughter from the ground, but in doing so, she ended up being hit by typhoon debris and would eventually die. Next, she remembers Yuko. Yuko could also have continued her life normally, but she had decided to deviate from her path to help Asa. Asa was the kitten to be saved in Yuko's life. The cat she could simply ignore, but decided to save because that was of value to Yuko. Yuko declared she would have no regrets if her death occurred while being faithful to her own values. Yuko might never have become Asa's friend. In that case, she would be hunting weaker devils at school, but Yuko strayed from her path to save Asa from her suffering. And there she was, fallen, unconscious, and immobilized. Asa had decided to save Yuko because that was what Asa believed in. She saved the kitten in the past because it was the right choice to make, just as Yuko saved Asa because it felt right to her. So Asa couldn't let her down. Carrying Yuko in her arms again, the Bat Devil unfortunately catches up to them and swallows them both. Is this the end for our heroines? When the girls were about to be swallowed by the Bat Devil, the Cockroach Devil appears, crashing into the bat and freeing the girls, as if it were a typical comedy. The Cockroach Devil had been thrown by Chainsaw Man, who makes his first appearance in Part 2. The Cockroach Devil recovers from Chainsaw Man's first blow and returns to the fight. It asks why Chainsaw Man would be attacking one of his own, in this case, a devil. Was he trying to play the hero? To try and provoke him, the Cockroach Devil reenacts the classic dichotomy. If you could only save one, would you save a brilliant person? Or 5 ordinary people? And so, the Cockroach Devil throws the car and the young man to see Chainsaw Man's decision. But to its surprise, he ignores the options, exterminating the Cockroach Devil, and declaring he had chosen to save the cat. Between 6 humans, Chainsaw Man's choice would be to save a cat, just as Asa would have done once. In Chainsaw Man's world, he is considered a Spider-Man type, the city's vigilante, with some people loving him and others hating him, just like the world today. A group of people was there shouting Chainsaw Man's name like a cheering crowd. Denji is nearby, admiring being cheered, and quite satisfied with his popularity. While happily listening to the chant of his name, Yoshida approaches. Yoshida seems to know Denji. Denji, on the other hand, doesn't seem to know Yoshida. But Yoshida wants to talk a bit more with Denji, so he invites him to eat at the snack bar there. He would pay. Inside, Yoshida reveals that he is part of an organization that has an interest in Chainsaw Man's situation. They want Chainsaw Man's identity to remain a secret from the public. Denji, however, wants the opposite. He wants everyone to know he is Chainsaw Man. The reason? Simple. The girls will love it. Going back to the girls' side, Yoru is nervous about having been saved by Chainsaw Man earlier. Asa questions where so much anger comes from. Then Yoru clarifies the past between the two. The two devils fought in the past, but Chainsaw Man got the upper hand due to his 2 special powers. Chainsaw Man was immortal, and every devil Chainsaw Man eats ends up being weakened and even forgotten, and Yoru had been eaten by him. Yoru then concludes that she is afraid of being forgotten. Asa, on the other hand, doesn't feel angry about being saved by Chainsaw Man. Due to the new relationship she recently created, Asa is actually grateful for being saved. The next day we see Denji in an unusual situation. He is serving as a chair for a girl. This is one of Denji's services. He will be your chair for 10 yen, about 1 American cent. But only if you are a woman. Though if the pay is good, Denji even accepts having a male pair of buttocks on his back. Even Yoshida's, who went to talk to him. Yoshida recapitulates what he had said before. Denji should not reveal that he was Chainsaw Man. Yoshida didn't want that and would do whatever it takes to prevent this information from leaking. But Denji is determined to gain popularity. Everything is valid as long as he gets women. preferably women desperate for boyfriends. And Yoshida has a 1000 IQ play. He knew a girl desperate for a boyfriend. And if Denji met a girl like that, maybe Denji would stop wanting to be known publicly. Yoshida's punchline was trying to bring Asa and Denji together, matching the hunger with the desire to eat. The unexpected trio meets on the rooftop for a snack, and Yoshida tries to bring those two closer. He encourages a conversation between them, using the hot topic of the moment, Chainsaw Man. Asa didn't really want to talk about it. It's never good to talk about a topic with someone who is an evangelist for it. What does Asa think of Chainsaw Man? She starts a sequence of answers and replies. Asa shows herself as someone who believes everything negative about Chainsaw Man. She had let herself be negatively influenced by the Chainsaw Devil. Denji has a job to do trying to debunk all the myths, or almost all of them. The issue reaches an impasse as Asa questions how Denji could know Chainsaw Man's intentions. Denji then decides to play it straight. He was Chainsaw Man. That's why he would know what Chainsaw Man thinks. Asa calls Denji a loser for clearly trying to pull a lie like that just to win an argument. Yoshida likes Asa's stance. As long as people refuse to accept Denji's truth, Yoshida's job would be easier. Asa then leaves the boys and heads toward her class, but Yoru objects. The War Devil had taken Denji's revelations seriously. Asa mocked Yoru's supposed innocence for believing other people's words at face value. She even argues that Chainsaw Man would never reveal himself so openly as it could harm him. But in reality, it's just another lie Asa believes to validate her own point of view. She didn't know Chainsaw Man. The logic she used made no sense in reality. Changing the subject from Denji to the Devil Hunter Club admission test, Yoru warns that they were running out of time and still didn't have a devil's head to present to the committee. But Asa wasn't in a good mood today. She didn't care about Chainsaw Man or the Devil Hunter Club. Asa only thought about her injured friend, Yuko. She was going to visit her today, and everything else could wait. Yoru grows impatient, but what about the agreement between them? Did Asa have any plan to lure out Chainsaw Man? Asa didn't have a plan, but she brainstormed right then and there. Maybe if the school were attacked by a devil, Chainsaw Man would show up to save everyone? Yoru actually liked that idea a lot, so she let Asa go on with her schedule while she made the final adjustments to the plan Asa proposed. Asa, in turn, realized that it might be possible to control the War Devil through deception. Asa finds Yuko sunbathing in front of her house. Yuko actually seems extremely happy about her friend's visit. Yuko invites Asa to sunbathe with her, and Asa accepts. But unfortunately, Asa is too introverted to start or maintain a conversation. Yuko says she wasn't any better. She was also bad at making friends. She had no friends, which took Asa by surprise. In Asa's mind, Yuko was such a kind and sociable person that she must have had several friends. But the reality was that Asa was the only classmate who came to visit Yuko after she got hurt. Yuko then proposes that they both share secrets. Because Yuko had read that people who share secrets become closer friends. The darker the secret, the greater the resulting friendship. Asa then mentions an episode where she urinated at school. Yuko actually loves knowing this secret. But Asa says that after her sharing that episode, it was Yuko's turn to tell hers. And perhaps it would have been better not to have asked. Yuko claims she had killed a person the day before, her neighbor, for a trivial reason. Asa falls silent. She doesn't know whether to believe her friend or not. Both alternatives were probably terrible. With nothing else to do, the two remain in silence. Asa, who initially said she felt uncomfortable with silence between two people, decided it was more comfortable to remain quiet, knowing Yuko's big secret. When the silence between the two is interrupted by another neighbor, Asa finds the moment to ask her friend if that secret was true or not. Yuko confirms it and even asks if Asa wanted to see the body to verify. Asa refuses the proposal. Yuko then proceeds with the second big revelation of the day. Through the exchange of secrets, the friendship between the friends would be strengthened, and by this pact of friendship, Yuko would never tell anyone about the urination episode or about Yoru. Asa questions how Yuko knew about Yoru. After all, Yoru was one of Asa's unspeakable secrets, and she certainly hadn't told anyone. Yuko reveals that she could read minds, that reading minds was a power received through the pact between her and the Justice Devil. Now, everyone around Yuko was an open book to be read, which was perfect since Yuko had trouble understanding people, and with this power, it would now be easier. Asa questions why Yuko had done this. Contracts between humans and devils by civilians were forbidden. What had led Yuko to commit this crime? The answer was Asa. Yuko had made this pact because she needed power. She needed power to save Asa from her bullies. She needed powers to ensure justice, hence the justification for this pact happening. Yuko would solve Asa's bullying problem the next day, and it would be better if Asa didn't go to school then. After all of Yuko's revelations, Asa feels uncomfortable. Was she to blame for Yuko's transformation? Was Asa's weakness what cornered Yuko and forced her to seek strength through dark means? Asa was talking about this with Yoru, the only other confidant with whom she could have a discussion about the earlier events. But what worried Asa most was the remark that Yuko would solve Asa's bullying problems. What did she mean by that? Why are you asking me this? You already know the answer. Yoru was short and blunt with Asa. Her questioning Yuko's plans was nothing more than a failed attempt to have someone say that nothing bad was going to happen, that everything was fine. But the reality was that Asa knew Yuko would go to school the next day and kill the classmates who bullied Asa. Asa could not bear the responsibility of being the driving force that made her friend become a cruel killer. Asa had to confront Yuko and talk her out of the idea. The problem was that all of this was convenient for Yoru. If Yuko killed the students at school, there was a chance Chainsaw Man would appear to confront her. And if he didn't appear, it would also be possible to kill Yuko as a devil and pass the Devil Hunter Club test. Everything was going according to Yoru's plans. In fact, she had already taken possession of Asa's body without her noticing, to ensure that Asa wouldn't try to interfere with those plans. Yuko was determined to save Asa. Asa was her only friend, perhaps her only friend in life. The people who bullied her were evil people, and justice would be served. Yuko heads to school. The evil people were going to die. She is then confronted by Yoru, and they exchange cordial greetings. Thanks to her powers, Yuko understands Yoru's plans. She's a bit disappointed to learn that perhaps Chainsaw Man was at school, and yet the bullying persisted. But she understands that Chainsaw Man fought devils. Human problems should be solved by humans themselves. Yuko tries to postpone the confrontation against Yoru. The goal was to kill the bullies, and not risk hurting Asa or her body. She asks Yoru to leave and wait until the end of the mission to then fight. Yoru is sometimes naive about certain aspects of human beings, but she is sharp when strategically evaluating a situation. She would not allow the confrontation against Yuko to be postponed. It would happen right there. Yuko might have the advantage of mind reading, but Yoru held Asa's body hostage. It was a body Yuko would refuse to hurt. She liked Asa, but hated Yoru, and the confrontation would not be delayed. Then Yuko's demonic version emerges. The fight begins with an initial exchange of simple slashing blows from the demonic versions of the two friends. Yoru is at a disadvantage because she doesn't have any weapon with good attack power. She can only transform pencils into spears. Yuko then ends the first round of the fight by throwing Yoru far away, allowing time for her to go after her original goal, finding the bullies. By this time, everyone at school already knew about the attack. Evacuation procedures were already starting, and the Devil Hunter Club had already been summoned for the first combat. Meanwhile, Yuko identifies two bullies and quickly ends their lives just as the Devil Hunter Club arrives. They managed to inflict some damage while Yuko still considered them innocent and understood that she wouldn't kill innocents. But finding herself cornered, Yuko distorts her own logic and considers the Devil Hunter Club's attacks to be a form of bullying against her. Therefore, morally, she would be allowed to counterattack. In a few attacks, the entire club is knocked out, leaving only Yoru in the fight. Yoru, realizing all her cards were revealed and ineffective against Yuko, plays her last card, letting Asa confront Yuko. Asa had a plan. Yuko read this plan in Asa's mind and was astonished. What was Asa plotting? Yuko insists on trying to dissuade Asa from doing what she is thinking of doing. Asa then asks Yoru to teach her how to create weapons. Yoru doesn't believe Asa could create any efficient weapon, but teaches her anyway. The technique is simple. Just touch something that is yours and call it by its name. So Asa does it. She touches her uniform and screams, "Super strong uniform sword," and her entire uniform transforms into a sword, leaving Asa in only her underwear. Perfect for the horny nerds. Armed, Asa warns Yuko. Asa's problems must be solved by Asa herself, and Yuko should not interfere. Yuko tries to argue. She wouldn't just be killing Asa's bullies, but sending a message to the world about the consequences that bullying can bring. People would commit bullying because they don't realize the consequences and don't answer for their actions. If bullying ceased, perhaps Yuko could be as recognized as Chainsaw Man. Yoru intrudes into the discussion and asks what Yuko offered to obtain her powers. After all, a contract with a devil is an exchange. The human yields something to receive the power. However, Yuko claims she gave up nothing, only received, which sounded suspicious. What she claimed to have received was the light of justice in her heart. In truth, it is merely a metaphor for her to see herself above justice, as she proved when she counterattacked the Devil Hunter Club. Yuko sought to leave that place and end her mission by killing the last bully, but Asa was determined to stop her. Asa then, holding her sword, tried to strike Yuko's legs. but was easily disarmed. Yuko said what Asa was doing was useless. After all, she was using a weak weapon and had no combat experience herself. But soon, Yuko's body fell apart. The super strong uniform sword was indeed very strong, and it sliced Yuko's entire body into several pieces. Yuko would hardly survive after the damage suffered. Asa was desperate at the thought of losing her friend in that manner. She only wanted to attack Yuko's legs, not exterminate her like that. She was already in her final moments when a mysterious girl appears, offering to save Yuko. Without thinking twice or questioning how, Asa accepts the offer. The girl seals her deal with enigmatic words. She would do anything for her little sister. But who was her little sister? Yoru? In the next scene, Yuko manages to partially recover after her near-death situation. Now she is just ahead and seems willing to continue causing chaos at the school. Yuko managed to avoid death, but she was already hallucinating from the power. What was a fight against a small group of bullies had become a fight against all bullying in Japan. And finally, a fight against Japanese schools. Because as long as schools exist, bullying will exist. Yuko notices a girl hiding in the corner, and by some logic in her head, she decided to kill her. Then, none other than Denji appears. Chainsaw Man was there to fight. Yuko launches an attack in an attempt to kill Denji in a single blow, but Chainsaw Man quickly transforms and tears off that tentacle. Yuko starts to despair at facing an opponent she both respects and fears. Her next move is to unleash all her tentacles in an attempt to strike that agile demon, but nothing worked. Then Yuko tries to read Chainsaw Man's mind, trying to anticipate his next move, but Chainsaw Man wasn't even thinking about the battle. He was thinking about how to reveal his identity in the most natural way possible, and without even thinking about the fight itself, Chainsaw Man delivers the decisive blow, defeating Yuko definitively. Asa regains consciousness, but it was actually Yoru. Yoru had managed to lure Chainsaw Man and was ready to start the combat. First, she starts with some dialogue, asking if Chainsaw Man remembered her. He tried to remember, but he was very focused on Yoru's semi-naked body. Regardless of whether Chainsaw Man remembered the War Devil, Yoru sees an opening to land a blow on his back. However, a giant tentacle wraps around Chainsaw Man, and he is teleported away from the fight. Yoru misses her strike and feels frustrated. After so much planning and fighting, Chainsaw Man abandoned her without even recognizing her. Yoru felt offended for not even being recognized as a threat. The tentacle jutsu was a technique applied by Yoshida. He had moved Chainsaw Man because he realized he was about to reveal his human form to the students at that school. A transition to the post-fight occurs. Students discover that the devil was Yuko. Yuko also suffered from bullying, which would explain why she accepted this pact with the devil. Next, the transition moves to the night. Asa is having nightmares at home. When she hears her doorbell ring, it was Yuko. She had managed to survive the duel against Chainsaw Man, but she was a devil now, and a criminal. Running away would be her only option, but she needed to say one last word to the only friend she ever had. Asa tries to talk to Yuko, but the latter orders Asa not to open the door. As a devil, if she sees Asa, she might try to eat her. But Asa opens her door anyway, and we see Yuko's final state. Asa asks if Yuko really wants to eat her, and apparently she does. Yuko then clarifies that she was there to say goodbye and confess. She was a lonely person without friends. She saw in Asa a vulnerable person who could open up to her. That is why she did everything she did, including the pact with the Justice Devil. But she regretted the deaths and violence she caused. She was going far away, seeking a solution to become human again, or to be permanently eliminated this time. Either option worked for her. Yuko realizes she is already far beyond salvation and decides to end her farewell and leave, giving one last important warning to Asa. The Justice Devil was in that school, making pacts, and Asa should not fall into that trap. And when she was finally leaving, Asa asks Yuko to wait. Asa offers the pair of shoes for Yuko to leave with. Since Yuko was barefoot, Yuko refuses the shoes just as Asa had done in the past. And Asa responds in the same way, that Yuko should take the shoes, and if she still didn't want them, she could get rid of them later. But she shouldn't refuse her friend's good faith. Yuko feels embarrassed for hearing back the words she had spoken herself in the past, and the two friends begin to laugh. Even though both friends had committed horrible acts, having killed classmates and teachers, Yuko promises to return the shoes as a promise that she will live, and that the two will meet again. However, it was a vain promise. While she was fleeing through the night, we see Yuko decapitated. Her killer? Chainsaw Man.